Hello everyone, and rather than do a response to Michael Rowlands and all the other SJWs that have been parroting this whole line about how there's more than two biological sexes because this, that and the other, I'm going to ask them a question because I found something very interesting about this whole thing and I think it needs to be asked. Now usually they will tell us to prove to them that there are only two sexes, even though they are the ones that initially made the extraordinary claim that there are more than two biological sexes. Now let's just get into those claims very, very quickly now, shall we? So the first thing is, there's more biological sexes because trans people exist. Because trans people exist, therefore there is more than two sexes. Even though we know that trans people are called trans people because they transition between one to another. It could be male to female and vice versa. So that actually makes it a binary, does it not? Because that's what trans means. But then they will just say, but what about non-binary, gender fluid, gender queer and all those other things? Well, they don't exist. They're not scientifically proven to have existed, which, by the way, we'll get to that in just a little while longer. So those things do not exist. Those are just things that people say that they are, but they aren't actually. In fact, they may well be confusing gender expression for gender identity or some kind of actual gender, when in fact it isn't. It could be that they're simply tomboys, but for some reason they call themselves genderqueer because they have short hair or they wear men's clothes, which is not a new gender. It's not even a sex. So that's the first thing that puts their argument to bed immediately. The second thing, and this is their trump card, and that is, intersex people exist. Therefore, there is more than two genders. But intersex people are born with XX and XY chromosomes, and the thing that makes them male or female is, of course, a Y chromosome or lack thereof. And humans can't be true hermaphrodites. They cannot be true intersex because animals like mollusks and hermaphrodites and worms can either breed on their own or breed with each other, and there's no requirement for opposite sex in order to do so. Human intersex people are not like that. They are simply men and women who are born with genetic abnormalities. They tend to have a working genitalia, that is their main genitalia, that's the genitalia that they are born with, and that is what signifies them as male or female. The secondary, the chromosomes, are another thing. But then they're also born with added genitals that shouldn't actually be there, and for most of them this tends to become less of an issue for them. In fact, these genitals become useless around about puberty or the end of puberty. This is for most of them, although some of them, this isn't the case. They still kind of remain intact and it causes a lot of issues because they've got different hormones there causing issues and they need corrective surgery. This doesn't make them trans. This doesn't make them a third or fourth gender. In fact, it doesn't. They are men and women with abnormalities, and they're only 1 in 2,000 births. They don't prove that there's another sex because they're either male or female. And then there's another issue, and this is the chromosome thing, which again can simply be proved by the fact about Y chromosomes, whether they're there or not. And this is about things like Turner syndrome and Down syndrome and other things like that. Basically, these disorders are caused by chromosomal abnormalities. So a woman who has Turner syndrome, and women only have Turner syndrome as far as I know, have XXX chromosomes, and I think Down syndrome people have another different thing as well. But the fact of the matter is, it can only happen to women because those chromosomes aren't Y. They have an extra X chromosome. So they're not of third gender, they're still women. It's just an abnormality. If Turner syndrome happened to both men and women, well, it would probably end up being XXX for women or XXXX, and it would be XXX for Y for men. Potentially, I don't know, I'm hypothesizing, my science could be wrong. I mean, that doesn't prove anything, and if we're going with that logic, then infertile people are a different gender then, a different sex, because they can't have babies. People with Asperger's must be a different sex because we are socially different because of our abnormality, because of our disability. But hey, whatever. They wouldn't say that is a sex now, would they? The reason why I brought that up is because that's the evidence that they have brought up, which isn't actually evidence. All these things actually point to the contrary. So My question is, and this is where the burden of proof should actually lie, is on the people who make the extraordinary claim. We're not the ones making the extraordinary claim here. We're the ones that are saying, well, this is the scientific consensus of the last God knows how many millennia. There are only two sexes. They're saying there's more. So my question to you, Michael, and SJWs in general, prove to me that there are more than two sexes. Give me evidence. Have you got actual, verifiable science that backs your claim? No intersex people, because we've been proven that that doesn't prove your point. No people with chromosomal disorders, that doesn't prove your point either. And what else? Oh yes, trans people don't prove your point either, because they go from one to another. Give me evidence that non-binary people, genderqueer people, stuff like that exist. Show me that it exists. Because remember, the burden of proof is on you, not us, because we're not the ones making extraordinary claims here. As Carl Sagan once said, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. So this is a message to you guys. Prove it to me. Send it to me in a video, send it to me in a tweet, or your journals, your evidence and stuff like that. And we'll put this issue to bed. Come on, what are you waiting for? You love a little bit of scientific debate, don't you? What have you got to lose? Apparently we're the creationists, not you. So go on, I'm laying the gauntlet down. So until next time, people, I'll see you later.